High school and college sport coaches are absolutely nuking their athletes' ability to progress from high school to college or from college to the professional league, and let me explain why. This is most applicable in football and basketball, but I'm sure it applies to other sports as well. We'll give the example of basketball because this is where it's the most glaring. A 6'5" athlete walks in the door and it's a traditional school. Maybe the graduating class has 300 kids. Nothing crazy. This isn't like an IMG academy. This is a normal school. You got one 6'5" kid, and every position goes down 2 inches from there. So a normal, they're tall, they're basketball players, but nothing crazy. So that 6'5" guy for his whole 4 years in high school plays center. He learns to post. He learns to get rebounds. He learns to defend the post, etc., set screens potentially. But he's a center. Now, if that athlete wants to go to college, a legit D1 college, and play, or even to the pros, and it's the same thing in many colleges, he now has to learn a completely different position. If you're 6'5", you will be playing point guard or shooting guard. Maybe small forward, but really nowadays positions are ball handler, wing, and big. And at 6'5", you are playing ball handler. Whether that's point guard or shooting guard. So now this athlete is completely screwed because he's spent thousands of hours. 95% of his training with a coach, with teammates, are spent with him playing a position that has some carryover. I'm not saying that playing center has no carryover. You're still trying to score, you're still trying to defend. But the position is completely different. The landscape of you, a 6'5" athlete who has potential, you have the height to play point guard or shooting guard, now is completely eliminated. Because the guys that are 6'5" playing point guard or shooting guard, they've been playing that position for 10 years. And if you want to make any legit run at a D1 college and then try to get drafted, you now have 6 months to try to prove to them that you have ball handler skills, which you don't, because you haven't practiced it. All the games you've played, you've been the center. And in football, you have a lot of schools that don't have a lot of big guys, and they will throw any guy over 200 pounds on the offensive or the defensive line. It'd be a 5'10", 200-pound guy, pretty athletic, pretty strong, maybe squats in the 4s, deadlifts in the 5s. Pretty strong guy, but not big enough to play D1 D-line. Or if he wants to go to the NFL, 200 pounds is, the offensive linemen are grabbing you and throwing you into the stands. You're going in a different zip code. But that guy, if he's athletic, if he's 5'10", 200 pounds, that's a corner, a big corner. That's a safety. That's a running back. Potentially a quarterback if he gains some weight. Potentially a wide receiver. A lot of positions are available to him, a special team player. If he develops at those positions, he has a chance. If you put the strongest guy on your team who is way too small, not long enough, not big enough frame, and you put him on defensive line just because he's the strongest, his chances of playing D1 or professionally are 0. And some people are going to say, well, actually no, because if he's that talented, why can't he go to college and then switch positions? Great athletes are not just bing, 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 switching positions all the time. Sometimes it happens, sure. And sometimes guys are playing multiple positions. When you are a superb talent, a lot of these guys do play quarterback, which essentially just means you snap them the ball in Wildcat and they run. That's a lot of guys. So don't bring up the example of, well, did you know J.J. Watt played quarterback or XYZ great athlete? Yeah, they all played quarterback, which means they're not throwing the football. The ball gets snapped and they catch it and they run. That's a little bit different. What I mean is these guys are playing significantly undersized positions for their Division I or professional outlooks. It's just not happening. There is no such thing as a 5'10", 200-pound defensive lineman. That's not even. It's just not a thing. It's not even a linebacker. So that athlete, because the coach was greedy and wanted to win. Look, high school sports, they should be about improving the players, getting them scholarships. No one is getting a scholarship to Alabama to be a 200-pound defensive lineman. No 6'5" guy's getting a scholarship to be a center. That just isn't happening. So at the end of the day, I believe that if it's a high school sport, the number one priority should be developing. Now, if the players aren't good, it doesn't really matter. And that's a lot of athletes. So this isn't even the majority of athletes. When you watch a high school sport, most of them aren't good. And it doesn't matter if you're playing them out of position, have some fun, try to win the games, whatever. I'm talking about the guys that are athletic, that are strong, that are twitchy, that have potential, that are going to work hard. The guys that have a legit chance if you play them at the correct position for 4 years, and then they get a couple in college potentially, and then they can move up. I'll at least try to. Look, most people are never going professional. That's the reality of it. But these people never even get a chance. So, play them at the right position, give them a chance,